Can sharks be an actual thing in Aetherdrift Standard? That's what we're going to find out today. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Much Abrew About Nothing. And this week, we are heading to our new Aetherdrift Standard format to try to discard some of our own cards for value with Izzet Shark. So let's talk about this Izzet self-discard aggro shark deck, what it's trying to do, jump into some games, see the deck in action. So one of the coolest parts of Aetherdrift is this self-discard theme, and it turns out that a couple of the best self-discard cards happen to be sharks that work really well together in Marauding Mako and Captain Howler Sea Scourge. So Marauding Mako, our baby shark, a 1-mana 1/1, but when we discard a card, it gets that many +1/+1 counters. When we discard one or more cards, it gets that many +1/+1 counters. And then we can even discard it itself with cycling to trigger our other stuff. Captain Howler, our big finisher, 4-mana 5/4 with Ward of 2 and 2 life, says whenever we discard one or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn for each card discarded this way. So if we discard one card, something gets +2/+0. But if we discard 5 cards, something's getting +10/+0. And then when that creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Also worth mentioning, that last ability stack. So if we loot to discard a card and use Captain Howler to target something, and then we loot again to discard a card and use Captain Howler to target that same thing, we'll get double card draw triggers when that creature deals combat damage. The last discard payoff, not a shark, but really good, Monument to Endurance. So a 3-mana artifact that when we discard a card, we get to choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Draw a card, create a treasure token, each opponent loses 3 life. And that last mode in specific is kind of insane on this card because it gives us a way to close out the game once our opponent deals with our board. So ideally, we get through some early damage, we hit our opponent. If our opponent manages to wrath or gum up the board, then Monument can come in and just kill our opponent by making them lose life directly. Worst case, it just offers so much value. Since we're discarding anyway, drawing extra cards every turn or making treasures, really flexible card. The rest of our deck, a ton of different ways to discard cards. And one of the reasons I think this deck might be good is we don't really got to play bad cards to make this plan happen. A lot of good cards just happen to let us discard anyway. So Grease Trench Goblin, another new card, 1-mana 2/1 that we can exhaust for 3 to discard up to 2 cards, draw that many cards, and it gets a counter. Fear Missing Out, when it enters, we get to discard a card, draw a card. Inti and Rona, probably the 2 most important cards in our deck. Rona just lets us loot multiple times in a turn because it untaps when we play a legend. So we have turns where we loot with Rona, trigger all of our stuff. Playing Inti, untap Rona, tap it again to loot, trigger all of our stuff again. It can get really out of hand once it gets going. Inti, the big deal here is, not only does it let us discard a card when we attack, but it lets us give an attacking creature trample. And one of the downsides of Captain Howler's ability, it really boosts a creature's power a ton, and it can let us draw a ton of cards, but it doesn't give evasion. So we sometimes end up in a situation where we can get a ton of Captain Howler triggers and build this huge threat, but then our opponent can just chump block it with a 1/1. Inti gets around that thanks to Trample, plus its last ability. Whenever we discard a card, we get to impulse draw a card, essentially. Very powerful in our deck as well. Duelist of the Mind, just a 1-of, but it loots when we crime, and it can get pretty big in the air. Another evasive creature to work with Captain Howler. As far as our removal, Broadside Barrage, really nice in this deck. 5 damage for 3 mana, and instant speed. Plus, we get to loot, so it triggers our stuff. Into the Floodmaw, Burst Lightning, Torch the Tower, just early game stuff. Mana base, pretty straightforward Izzet stuff. A couple of Murixes, and that is Izzet Sharks for Aetherdrift Standard. That's our deck for today, and I gotta say, I think this deck is really sweet and really fun, and it might actually be pretty good. So let's get to the game so you can see it in action. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it. I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats, tokens, and more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. We are playing some Izzet Sharks in Standard, and this hand looks pretty good. We got a Rona for discarding, 2 payoffs, Captain Howler in Monument. See what our opponent's up to. Demire. Well, I think Rona's better first. Playing Inti on an empty board's kind of awkward. It's not horrible, but we'd rather have a creature. Opponent, Island, and River Turn Monument. Okay, opponent doing some milling. What are we doing now? Do we want the Inti or do we want the Monument? Let's just play Monument. Yeah, I guess we might as well trigger it. I guess an Inti since it's legendary. And then Let's make a treasure. I want to be able to get down, well, yeah, I want to be able to get down Captain Howler next turn. This also lets us leave up into the Flood Maw, so I think that's worth it. All right, opponent, show us your mill. I do think Riverturn Monument might be good. I feel like they're fell, my favorite removal spell. All right, opponent, gonna fell Arona. I do think mill might actually be good. I don't know about mill with fell. That's that's a whole nother question. Opponent, Riverturn Monument, gonna do a little milling. Not milling themselves, interestingly. So many inties. I think we still just Captain Howler. We're not getting any value this turn, but it does have ward. So unless our opponent has an edict, it's going to be hard to kill. Opponent swamp. I guess they can skip their turn to fell it if they want to. Opponent's going to pass. Oh, we need to trigger our shark. Oh, okay. So we're going to counter the, yeah, that's fine. We are perfectly fine with cycling this creature as goblin. That means our opponent's tapped out. And now we get to draw a card. Let's just play Inti. I think Inti's fine. We can play Inti. We can get him with Captain Howler. Discard to Inti. This is where the deck starts to get good. Discard to Inti. Pump the Howler. Trigger the Monument. So much value. Yeah, let's go aggro. Drain ya. Pump it. Oh my god, and we hit a torch to the tower. Okay, well, we got to cast it this turn, so... Torture a Terry. And opponent... Down to 9. Down to 9. And we get to draw a card. And I guess we make our land drop, and our opponent just might be dead next turn. Wow. Wow. About it. Oh, no. Oh, it's like clubbing baby otters. This is where I kind of feel bad. Thieving Otter. I mean, Thieving Otter is a fine limited card from a decade ago, but let's FOMO. Yeah, I feel like we are kind of just wrecking our opponent here if they're playing Thieving Otter. Let's just kill you. Drain you down to 6. You go to combat, opponent says GG, get it, hit ya. And then discard. Give Howler trample. Pump Howler. And I guess we might as well draw a card. Yeah, Howler is actually insane if it sticks. My goodness. That looks very lethal to me. Even through the Thieving Otter. And opponent takes it, and, well, some good discarding. That was some good discarding. Let's just keep doing that. And this end's fine. I mean, we got lands and spells. A little bit of synergy. Oh, Inti is very good here. Inti is one of the best cards, and I think Inti and Rona are the two key enablers that actually make the rest of the deck scary. So the downside of this deck is we need ways to discard cards. The upside, though, is if we can do it, my god, the discard payoffs are very good. Yeah, it feels bad to play Mako on 2 because we're wasting a mana. We could play FOMO to be more efficient, but we're gonna play Mako. It does hurt to not use all of our mana, but I don't know what our opponent's up to. Fauna Shaman makes me think combo of some, okay. Some sort of loot cauldron deck, I assume. With a loot in the graveyard, Fauna Shaman, all of that lines up to Egg the Soul Cauldron shenanigans. Opponent gonna get they're playing infinite combo, okay. How do we want to do this? Let's Spire Bluff. We can kill the Fauna Shaman, do we even care? Let's FOMO. Do a little discarding. More FOMOs. Well, shark ya. Down 18. So if you don't know this combo, Egg of the Soul Cauldron, all right, Dredger's Insight, Egg of the Soul Cauldron, which they just found with their Dredger's Insight, plus Sleep Curse Fairy, plus Redshift exiled from your graveyard, gives you infinite mana for abilities, and then if you have like Fauna Shamans and so forth. What I'm trying to say is we need to kill our opponent quick, because they are going to combo at some point. Thankfully, no Redshift in the graveyard yet, but we do need to pick up the pace. Yeah, let's Inti. Oh, it's awkward. So we want to have Witchstalker Frenzy up. We want to not play the land in case we hit it off Inti, but then we need the land so we can kill the Fauna Shaman if we attack with 2 creatures, or we can just keep FOMOing. The Fauna Shaman, yeah, we'll see. This is the most aggro plan. It just adds the most bodies to the battlefield. Get in, hit ya. Inti. No discard this time. Hit you down to 14. I don't know if we win next turn, but it's going to be close. The downside with leaving Fauna Shaman alive. All right, there's the Soul Cauldron, is they can use it to find the red shift. All right, bone it. I'm going to exile the loot. All right, Fauna Shaman is now a loot. And, well, there goes our shark. All right. Do we need to kill the Fauna Shaman now? If our opponent untaps with it, they do get to just draw 3, which is probably not good. I want to play the Captain Howler, but we might have to wait. Yeah, let's go to combat attack with everything. Inti. Discard 1 of the Captain Howlers. We don't need 2 Captain Howlers. So grow a FOMO, I guess. Ooh, Monument. Okay. Well, let's kill the Fauna Shaman. Hit ya. Oh, this is going to be close. Down to 8, and might as well play the Monument. Use it or lose it. All right, opponent. With no creatures on the battlefield, comboing should be hard, right? Because without a creature on the battlefield, the Soul Cauldron doesn't do much. You need... Oh, there's the Redshift. Okay. I think our opponent would rather have that in the graveyard, but... Or I guess this also works. They turn it... Well, no, does it work? Oh, it grows the power. Yeah, so it does work. This also goes infinite. If you exile the Sleep Curse Fae... So our opponent goes infinite mana for abilities next turn and should win, which means we need to win this turn. So let's do a little Grease Wrench Goblining to discard, I guess, both. The problem is they can block one. So trigger, drain ya down to 6, make a treasure. All right, go to combat and attack. Oh, are we just short? We can hit our opponent to 1? We can hit our opponent to 1, but we can't win. Well, draw a card. Inti. Okay, land in Rona. They drop to 1, but then they go infinite. Oh, wait. Actually, our shark is cycling. Okay, upkeep stop. Cycle the shark. The last bit of damage before our opponent goes infinite. Monument to Endurance win? Oh, Monument's so good. Monument dealt like 9 damage this game or something. And it gave us the mana we needed to cycle this to get the damage. That card's insane. Opponent. Exiles. I don't think they can win at instant speed, though, because they need to be able to cast stuff. Like, just going infinite in opponent. Can't beat it. Dead on their upkeep. And, well, that was a Monument win. That was a straight-up Monument win. Looks like a pretty good hand, actually. Got a couple of sharks. Got a goblin. Monument of Endurance once we get to it. Well, let's get on a Mako. Mako, get ready to grow the shark. Opponent starts with a tap land. And let's play the island. Get down Rona. And get in for 1. Rona will be good next turn. It'll grow the shark and hopefully hit our land drop, which we do need to hit our land drop. Well, all right. So much for Rona hitting our land drop. Maybe we can map into a land. Ooh, Inti. We can also just try to Inti into a land. Ooh, that is the most damage. Yeah, let's do it. Let's play Inti. Get in with the shark. Discard to Inti. Get rid of Torch the Tower. Opponent does not look very aggro. Well, grow the shark, grow the shark. Ooh, and we even hit the land. All right, Inti doing its job, and then let's crack a map. See if we can hit... Ooh, the captain. But we don't have the mana. I love Captain Howler. The card's so sweet, but I don't think this is a time for the Capitan. Opponent. Abraid. I feel like Abraid is going to go way up in value. If the real meta is anything like early access meta, Abraid is going to be really good, because boy, are there a lot of good artifacts now. Well, let's play Monument. Is there any world where we cycle the shark? I think we just play it and get in. No discarding this time. We're going to hold on to our goblin. I'm not sure about Grease Wrench Goblin, if that's actually going to be... Day of Judgment. Come on now. Come on now, Lev. Lev the dev. Well, I mean, I guess we Inti. Try to rebuild. Crack map. And Fear Missing Out's not bad. Because we can play the Goblin and then play FOMO and just draw a card. I mean, opponent's down to 13. Fabrication. Some sort of artifact. Curse. Okay. I have no idea what our opponent's doing, but I guess we'll find out. Well, let's play Grease Wrench Goblin. Execute our plan. Play the FOMO. Do a little secret lair shopping and draw Bruce Lightning. Okay, I mean, that's more damage. Although, do we discard it? Is it worth? Yeah, I think it's worth discarding. It's even more damage discarded. because we get to drain, grow the Inti. So we hit for 7. Yeah, Monument is actually, it's really good. It's only 3 mana. So how much damage do you really need out of it for it to be worth it? And I think the answer is probably like 6 is fine, 9 is great, and anything above that's like, what is this? Oh, it's another Wrath, okay. Opponent's playing 36 Wraths over there. Yeah, land is not ideal. All we really need to draw is things that let us discard. Well, something bad's gonna happen. 2 Curse Recordings. I mean, hopefully they just have a bunch of Wraths. Curse Recording a Wrath doesn't do much, but if they have a real card, those Curse Recordings are a problem. Oh, even more lands. Haha, poison ya. How do you like us now, Lev? About it. Land. Oh dear, okay. I imagine this is where we die. Both Cursed Recordings activated, next spell tripled, and opponent gonna do some manual tapping, make sure the mana's right. Yeah, this cannot be good for us. I don't know what the combo is though. Like what is the combo? White, oh, okay. So they're just gonna White Suns for 4? So they gain 12, make 12 mites. Oh yeah. I mean, that actually is just lethal. Now discarding does not do much. We don't have a chance of just killing our opponent with them at 17. And our mites can't block, so we're actually just dead to poison unless we top deck. So that kills a thing. We don't have a sweeper in this deck though, so I'm not sure. Yeah, another land. All right, well, fair, I guess. All the Raz Curse Recording White Suns Twilight. That did get us. Man, we also just kind of flooded out a lot. Hitch, yeah, I guess we are just dead. There's no point in even letting our opponent attack. Well, Wraths. Sand looks pretty aggro. Sadly, this Restless Spire, little clunky. Maybe it's not even worth it. I like having a couple creature lands, but this deck does really like curving out. Opponent Swamp and Fairy Dream Theft. All right, probably some sort of graveyard deck. Maybe Insidious Roots. Opponent gonna get in, hit us, and Soul Cauldron. Okay, scary. We do not have an answer to Soul Cauldron. Well, let's play Rona, I guess. Captain Howler can do some stuff, should we get to it. Okay, oh, it's a Ketramos deck, spicy. Oh, that's what they're doing with Soul Cauldron, it's just to exile. Well, let's play the land. Play our Baby Shark, and then Grease Wrench Goblin. I guess we can loot at instant speed. We already had our land drop. Yeah, let's just pass. Start growing the dorks. Doing some looting. Hopefully looting to a land for Captain Howler. We need our father shark. Everyone's gonna have that stupid song in their heads. I apologize. Not really though, because it's kind of funny, but but yes, I know it sucks. I know. I feel your pain. Opponent. Dredger's Insight. Gonna get a something back from I've seen a lot of Dredger's Insights. Maybe this card, so the competition's like cash grab, right? Maybe this is better. Cash grab's an instant, although it's an instant that gets cast at sorcery speed quite a bit. Maybe the enchantment's just better. I think we're gonna bounce this Ketramos just to keep our opponent from drawing too many cards. They can Soul Cauldron in response. All right, or not. That's also fine. Well, let's do a little looting with the Rona. And, well, all right. 2 Howlers is 1 too many. Opponent can exile it, but that's fine. We don't really care about our graveyard. We just care about discarding. We don't need the card active in our graveyard. Witchstalker's Frenzy. Well, let's lose. See if we can hit a land. Would have been better. All right, another Mako. Even more Baby Sharks. Let's, I guess, discard an Inti. Grow the Shark. Well, Baby Shark Part 2? Maybe we're just not going to hit our land drop. But maybe that's okay. Inti. Untap Rona. I mean, we get a couple of shots at hitting a land drop here. Rona, loot. All right, there's a land. Although, yeah, let's just start the Frenzy. It can't kill Ketramos anyway. Trigger. Land off Inti. Aha. All right, things are looking up. We hit our land drop, go to combat, hit ya. Do we even discard to Inti here? I think no. If they want to jump this turn, that's fine. I think we want to save cards to discard for next turn, because next turn we can do it with Captain Howler and make a shark huge and hopefully draw some cards. Like we can loot, Howler, loot, into discard. So we should get at least 2 Captain Howler triggers. Opponent get a Soul Cauldron. Yep. It seems like they're mostly using Soul Cauldron as a fair card. I don't think they're trying to combo with it or anything. Ah, Insidious Roots. Opponent is stacking up some synergies. And a Mole Tender. Well, this is an interesting way to build Ketramos. Another Captain Howler. We're going to have a turn, I think. So we get a free loot with Rona, because it's going to untap when we play Howler. So let's Rona loot. Go into the Flood Maw, too. Okay, discard a Shark. Trigger, trigger, trigger. Inti finds a Rona. Well, Captain Howler. Trigger, untap Rona. Now the real fun begins. Now we have the Great White, the real shark. Rona, trigger. Do a little looting. Discard a land. Get some triggers. So Howler just going to go on the big baby shark here. It does kind of... Ooh, Monument, but we can't cast it. Do we play the land? I don't think we can. Because if we play the land, then we have to discard the end of the Flood Maw anyway. Because we definitely want to trigger Inti here. So get in with a big shark. Get in with the slightly less big baby shark. Inti, going to trigger to discard. Pitch the land. And, okay, baby shark getting big. Baby shark's getting big and tramply. And going to draw Papa some cards. Well, we found the land. That's not bad. I mean, that is a 12 power trampling 1-drop here on turn 4-ish. Turn 5, I guess. Found I can exile out of the Soul Cauldron, make a plant, get some triggers. I'm just not sure any of this is going to matter. Our team is just too big. Not even really scared of the Ketramos at this point. Our team is just like so big. And wow, take the 12 spot. All right, well, we get to draw 2. Captain Howler looking pretty good. Burst Lightning and some more removal. Do we even care about doing anything right now? I guess let's just into the Flood Maw the token. Actually, yeah, let's into the Flood Maw the token. I feel like we just win through the Ketramos next turn. Opponent goes vacuum. Exiles. Triggers. Plants. All right, well, I mean, opponent's got to do something big. They can probably have a cute little turn, like play Ketramos, exile stuff from the graveyard, which will make plants, which will trigger their Dredger's Insight, Rubble Belt Maverick, and Ketramos. So our opponent could probably do some shenanigans here. I don't know if those shenanigans, though, stop the mighty sharks. Maybe sharks are actually a good aggro deck. So far, this deck has felt like a good aggro deck. Like, it's felt solid. Found it. Exiles, draws, plants, gains, up to 6. It is cool that Dredger's Insight counteracts the Ketramos life loss if you exile from the graveyard. So you essentially draw the card, but end up neutral on life. So far, I've mostly built Ketramos. I haven't really focused on the graveyard like this. It's more been blink decks, removal, exile removal decks. I haven't really went hard on the graveyard plan, but this does... Ooh, another Roots. Man, I'm glad we have this big board, because I feel like if our opponent had one more turn, they would just build an overwhelmingly big board of plants. But I think, even through the Ketramos, I think we can just win this turn. Because we get discard from Rona. We get discard from our removal. We get discard from Inti. So I think we can just build a baby shark so big that we win through it. But we're going to see. So, Rona. Matt's for blockers, right? Matt's not for sharks, that's for sure. Loot. Discard a land. Captain Allah, gonna go on the baby shark, get some triggers. All right, well, that's a free land, that's fine. Well, let's Broadside Barrage, I guess just the biggest plant? Yeah, let's just get rid of the biggest plant, do a little looting, discard another land. Captain Aller going on the Mako Mako. I mean, I guess we can play Rona just to untap Rona and get another trigger. So, untap Rona. Legend rule, keep the old one. And do a little more looting. Get a few more triggers. Discard the tap land. All right, so Mako's up to what? 16, 17 power? And opponent, wow, scoops it up. Yeah, I mean, we just attack and trample it, and that's game. Whew, that's a big shark. That is a big shark. I mean, this end looks great. We don't have any big payoffs. No sharks, no monuments. But considering we don't have the payoffs, this end's pretty aggro. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of feeling out Grease Wrench Goblin, if it's worth it or not. It is crazy how good Savannah Lions are getting. It's a Savannah Lions that double loots for 3 mana, which is kind of insane. Well, let's get down our 1 Duelist of the Mind. Duelist of the Mind is a card I started with 4 of, and then I ended up with 1 of. I think it is good in the deck, though. We aren't super crime heavy. Ooh, all right, some sort of graveyardy artifact deck. Scrapwork Mutt. I'm gonna discard. Ooh, 3-fold Thunderhawk. We had a sweet deck with that Nexus of Becoming. I wonder if Nexus of Becoming could become the next big thing that we're getting all these artifacts. It seems like it gets better. I think all these old artifact synergies get better because of this set, which is pretty exciting. You know what? We're just gonna do some looting here. See if we can find some actual. All right, discard both lands. Draw no lands. A little awkward, but hit you for 3 down to 15. But I mean, we found a payoff. We found a monument. Combat Thrasher. Opponent draws a card. Another monument. Oh, if only we had a land. Well, we can probably Inti into a land, right? Hopefully, maybe. Let's play Inti. Discard. Sadly, a monument. I don't think we're going to have time to get both of them down this game. Hopefully, we just kill our opponent here. FOMO. That's not a land. I don't really want to bounce either of these. Do we even care about... I mean, I guess this 1-drop did work. Like, I guess it's fine if it dies. It got in some damage. It did its double looting thing. And it tramples over, hits our opponent 12. Okay, that was a pretty good 1-drop, I'll say. And we get to save our Into the Flood Mob because we do need to be careful of our opponent just going land to reanimate 3-fold Thunderhawk. We do need to answer that. Like, an unchecked 3-fold Thunderhawk does just win the game. That is the upside of playing a massive 7-drop. If you can't stop it, it's gonna kill you. What are we doing? What are we doing, Legend? Opponent, land, and reanimation. That's gotta be what they're doing, right? Like... All right, I'm gonna tune up the 3-fold Thunderhawk. Well, opponent, I think I'd rather you have no 7-drop artifact creature. Let's bounce it. We get to crime. Oh, yeah, let's discard a Witchstalker Frenzy. Inti into a baby shark. I mean, opponent still gets 3/1/1s. Let's play the Mako. And yeah, I guess we just play the Rona too. We might just, do we attack with Inti? Yeah, I guess if they triple block Inti, yeah, let's just get him with the Duelist. Let's just get him for 1. We'll just wait for next turn. I don't really want to discard either of these. Witchstalker Frenzy is a nice, well, especially this turn when we can't get full value out of it. Next turn, we might discard Monument. We'll see. Although Monument gets a lot better next turn. Now that we're going to untap with a Rona and an Inti, maybe. And the Duelist. If we get hit a land, we can maybe have a turn where we like Rona and Inti and Duelist for 3 discards. Make the baby shark a little less babyish. Brass's Tunnel Grinder. Brass's Tunnel Grinder is a sweet card. I considered Tunnel Grinder for this deck. I did not play it in this deck, but I could see it being good. It works very well with Mako, that's for sure. Can we win this turn? We might just have lethal this turn. As good as Tunnel Grind, oh boy, yeah. Opponent needs a setup turn, and well, we just gotta punish him for it with death. I might be able to get lethal this turn. We'll see. So opponent definitely setting up, discarding a bunch of cards, drawing a bunch of cards. We draw a land, but boy, this creature land has been very disappointing. Might end up cutting the creature land. It's always tapped at the wrong time. Well, let's loot. Discard the tap. We're all in on finding a land with this Inti. Let's drain for 3. So opponent goes to 8. I think we just go... Yeah, let's get rid of Greasy. Get rid of the Greasy Goblin. And make a treasure. So we have Burst Lightning on... Oh, this is actually insane. Oh, now we do win. Oh, hitting this Burst Lightning so big. Because now we can Burst Lightning off the treasure, off the monument. Hit ya. More importantly, triggers Duelist of the Mind. So we get to loot again. Discard the land, and that should be game, right? Is that game? And draw a card. Wow, full monument. Full monument. And opponent down to 6. The monument came, wow. The monument looks so slow this game. And that one turn of extra mana, let it come through, steal the win. And yeah, sharks, still sharking them. Baby Shark, Inti, Rona, Monument. Actually, this is very close to like a perfect draw. Baby Shark, do, and opponent untaps. Oh, don't be control. Are you a control deck? Oh, an artifact deck. Okay. Well, better than control. Let's play this Fire Bluff. Get down to Rona and smack ya for 1. The Baby Shark's still pretty small at the moment. Oh no. Oh boy. Simulacrum Synthesizer might be one of the biggest winners from Aetherdrift out of old cards. I'm very scared. I am very scared. Another Rona. Well, discard the Rona. Grow the Shark. Play the Inti. Untap the Rona. We just got to get in damage. It would be nice to get down Monument and go for a longer game, but with our opponent having Simulacrum Synthesizer, I think our default has to be get through as much damage while we can, because our opponent's going to end up with a massive creature here in a minute. Well, play the land, get down the grease, hit you down to 16, and hope our opponent doesn't have any artifacts. If our opponent can't trigger the Synthesizer, we're doing well. Might Stone and Weak Stone. So, about that doing well thing. Baby Shark. You can't kill a Baby Shark. I'm pretty sure that's actually illegal. Didn't we ban that? Yeah, well, I mean, Monument, I guess. I don't feel like it's going to be enough, but maybe. So, do a little looting. Discard a Rona. What do we even do? Let's make a treasure. We hit a tap land. Pass the turn. That 4/4 is just too big. No Howler for buffing. All right, let's see how bad this turn is for us. I imagine the answer is extremely. That would be my guess. Opponent. World Waker's Helm. Makes a construct and a map. Simulacrum Synthesizer Part 2 makes a construct and a map, and they're 10/10s. And yeah, that does it. Well done, Simulacrum Synthesizer. Gonna have to look out for that card in a Aetherdrift Standard. Yeah, we got the Howler. Need a little bit more mana to get to it, but hopefully Inti can get us there with its weird looting ability. Opponent Forest and passing. Oh, Rona. Okay, Rona's even better. So we should be fine for hitting our lands, hopefully. Get down the Grease Wrench Goblin. Opponent. Web Striker Elite. All right. Mono Green. I'm curious if Mono Green's gonna be good enough now. Yeah, let's just play the Rona. I mean, 3/3 Reacher with cycling for 2 is pretty good. It is bigger than our Goblin and our Rona. Keen-Eyed Curator. Okay, that also. I mean, there's just so many big green creatures. No, don't kill the Rona. Oh, all right. Opponent's gonna bushwhack the Rona. Get in with the 3/3. All right, things are looking worse, I will say. Looking a little bit worse. Just a smidge. Are we at risk? Do we have to kill the Curator is the question. If it becomes a 7/7, it's so bad. Like we can't really deal with a 7/7. Yeah, let's play Inti. I mean, I guess we could find our fish bounce, but play Inti, get in with the Goblin, discard the Murex, grow the Goblin. Opponent, would you like to trade? All right, well, race mode. Can we race Mono Green? That is the question. The true test of Izzet Sharks. Lumbering, okay. Well, I'm glad this turn was our opponent ramping instead of adding a real body to the battlefield. That's going to be very large in the future, but they do have to crew it, so better than them just having another active threat. All right, we'll take 6. The race is on, just like Mero intended for Aetherdrift. We're literally racing, although no one's max speeding. We're doing the racing in our own terms. It's a little unofficial road race here. Well, Captain Holler, pretty good here. Also bigger than 3/3, which is nice. Yeah, get in with both, and we're gonna discard a land to the Inti to trigger the Captain Howler to grow the Inti and. Ooh, Mako, Baby Shark. The Baby Shark is staying in exile. We do get to draw, though, which is good. Captain Howler might actually be good. I feel like cards like Captain Howler are the absolute best use of Ward. Those are the cards I want to have Ward, because a card like Captain Howler without the Ward, Awaken the Woods. would be so unplayable in standard, but even just the Ward 2, it gives it a shot. I still don't think it's busted or anything, but it gives it a shot. Opponent gonna lumber in for 9 once they get this land. Well, I mean, I think we're going to 1, and then we're gonna see if we can kill our opponent on the backswing. We draw a Mountain. So how do we do this? We can FOMO loot, then Inti loot. We need to build a trampling threat that's big enough to win the game this turn. Is Monument. We can also Monument, and then, yeah, I think this is best. So play the Monument, because this gets in for 3 automatically. So play the Monument, play the land, play the Fear Missing Out. Loot away the Witchstalker's Frenzy. Trigger Monument, trigger Shark. I guess Sharks are biggest creatures, so I guess we just go for the Shark kill. It's got to be Drain, right? Yeah, Drain you for 3. We hit another land. Well, go to combat. Swing with the crew. Discard the land. Trigger Inti, trigger Shark. So 9 power. I guess we'll make a Treasure just in case we hit like a random 1 mana spell off Inti. All right. I mean, that's 10 power Captain Howler with Trample. Thanks to Inti. Inti's really key to this deck. The Trample from Inti, really, really essential to making the plan work. Opponent gonna do some blocking, but Trample comes through, and Captain Howler making its presence felt against mono. That was a good mono green draw too. Some weird cards like Awaken the Woods, but still, we are playing some Sharks in Standard, some Izzet self-discard Sharks. In this hand, we could use a payoff or 2, but we got a nice little aggro hand. Couple of Grease Wrench Goblins, a little bit of discard. Oh, Merfolk. Cenoti Scouting. Opponent gonna explore. Well, land and Rona. So opponent's definitely a straight up Merfolk tribal deck. Like if you're playing Voldaren Hexcatcher, you're definitely Merfolk. You're not just randomly playing Cenoti Scout. Opponent gonna get in. I think we're gonna not, I don't know how this, yeah. We're not gonna risk it because they can just flash in the Lord and kill it. And we really want this Rona. That's our discard engine at the moment. What do we do this turn though? Let's loot with Rona first. Into the Flood Maw is not the worst. Let's get rid of the second Greasy Goblin. I mean, we might as well. It's not blocking the 3/3. Opponent does not trade with their Lord. Do we want to play the FOMO? We don't really want to discard anything. We're going to wait. Plus the FOMO, so what we'd like to do is like probably bounce the Lord this turn just to slow our opponent down. Another Cenoti Scout. Hopefully untap and Captain Howler, and then FOMO the next turn when we have Howler for even more value. So opponent could stack their entire board to counter it, but that doesn't do anything. Gonna do a little exploring. Mocking Bird. Sure. Pretty good with the Lord, I guess. Another FOMO. Well, I mean, it's Shark time. Captain Howler. We might as well loot with Rona because it's free. More Grease Wrench Goblins for the graveyard. Come on, no counters. Opponent gonna run out the Hexcatcher. I mean, this is fine though, right? Because even if they block, we can loot with Rona to discard something. We don't get to draw a card, unfortunately. Get rid of Howler number 2, but we get to grow the Goblin enough to trade with a 1-drop. We broke it. We have found a way to make our creatures trade with Cenoti Scouts. So good, opponent. What do you got, Merfolks? The classic tribal battle, Merfolk versus Sharks. And gonna learn about Ward. Tries to bounce a Captain Howler. It does have Ward of 2 and 2 life. So that's not gonna go the way you want. Well, let's grow this Captain Howler. I wish we could find an Inti for Trample. Grow the Howler. Fear of missing out. Discard the land. Draw Witchstalker's Frenzy. Well, grow the Howler. The problem with all this is our opponent can't just chump block it. Oh, maybe Captain Howler should have Trample. That might be too good. That might be too busted. It would be so one-shotty in Commander, I think, if it had Trample itself. You get a lot of Commander damage, like wheel Commander damage wins. Actually, I don't even think it's worth attacking here since we don't even get in the damage. We don't really want to trade Captain Howler with Cenoti Scout. That feels bad. Opponent. Oh, Sentinels. It's a 5/6, and they get a map to crack on the Hexcatcher. Hits a land. Well, hits us down to 13. We draw a land. Well, let's loot with Rona. Ooh, there's Baby Shark. Let's discard the land. What do we target? Yeah, let's go Fear of Missing Out. Are we discarding Baby Shark? Maybe we're discarding Baby Shark. Well, graveyard. Yeah, let's discard the Frenzy. We'll keep the Mako. Mostly for cycling. I don't even know if we're gonna, oh, that's the Inti, my God. Okay, well, that changes everything. Now we are discarding Baby Shark. Oh, wow, what a draw. What a draw. We get another Rona trigger. Actually, I guess we're gonna hold on the Mako still since we drew something worse. Trigger, this is gonna be a great Fear Missing Out. Up to 8 power, go to combat, attack ya. Yes, untap FOMO, discard the Baby Shark, trigger Captain Howler, trigger Inti. That's what we were missing, was the Trample. The Trample's a missing piece. They do get to kill it, unfortunately. We're gonna refill our hand here and get in a big hit. Oh, we even turned on the FOMO too. If only had more toughness. Well, we hit our opponent to 8. 4 Captain Howler triggers. So good. So good. Oh, we can't really attack here. Can you beat our Sharks, though? Can you beat our Sharks? I feel like next turn we should be able to just end it, and I don't think they can end us. Especially with this Burst Lightning and the Into the Flood Maw. Those are some good draws, hitting some removal. Opponent, 2 cards in hand. Sentinels of the Nameless City. Well, let's try to Burst Lightning the Flying Lord. So if our opponent wants to save it, they have to sack something, which is either the Sentinel or the Lord. Either one of those we're kind of okay with. Like, if our opponent ends up sacking... All right, well, I mean, we got 5 power off the battlefield. The Lord lives, but Sentinel's down, which is a win. Subterranean Schooner, that's not gonna do it, and Sharks for the win. Well, we know who rules the seas. It's not the Merfolk. It's not the Merfolk. It's 2025. It's the Sharks' time to shine. Yeah, let's kill him. And we will discard an opponent. Doesn't even wait for the damage. Scoops it up and Sharks. Pretty good. Not bad. So what do we learn this week about Izzet Sharks in Standard? And this was an early access day deck. And one of the rules of early access day is don't pay too much attention to a deck's record, because on early access day, people are trying different things. The meta's super wonky with tons of new cards and tons of new brews. But I will say the deck record was really good. We won like 75% of the time or something. It was very, very solid, but I don't put that much weight into early access day records. What I'm looking for on early access day is how does the deck feel? And I think the deck passed the feelings test with Flying Colors. The deck just felt really good. The curve is solid. The mana is solid. There's a ton of synergies, and we got to see some ridiculous games where you get Captain Howler and Inti and Monument going, and we just have this like 12 power trampling creature that's going to draw us a ton of cards, maybe attack twice with Fear of Missing Out. So the deck really snowballs hard. So I think this deck might actually be a real option in Standard. It's very aggressive. It's very synergistic. It's got Monument of Endurance for reach to close out the game. And since we're a blue deck, we can overload our sideboard with like counter spells and spell pierces. So we don't have to be too worried about the control decks with Sunfall and stuff like some other aggro decks might be. So I actually think that Izzet Sharks or some sort of like Izzet self-discard aggro deck could be an actual real threat in Standard, thanks to the power of some of these new cards. And I gotta give a shout out to Captain Howler. I know that Ward is a pretty controversial ability. A lot of people don't like Ward. They find it frustrating. But I gotta say, Ward on something like Captain Howler, I think is the absolute perfect best use of that mechanic. Yes, it can be annoying. Yes, if you miss your land drops, it's going to be hard to kill. But Captain Howler is the exact kind of card that if it didn't have a ward, it would just be stone unplayable in Standard. You just play it and it would die and wouldn't do anything. It's a 4-drop that you really need to untap with a lot of the times to get value out of it. So shout out to Wizards for a really good design there. I really like, not a super high ward. I don't want it to be hexproof or something, but I really like the Ward 2 style effect on these 4 and 5 drops that are a little bit slow, don't have an ETB trigger, because it actually gives you some chance of playing them in Standard, and I think it might be enough to make Captain Howler kind of work, because we get to see how explosive it could be, and the ward just adds that extra bit of resilience that might actually make it playable. So all in all, Izzet Sharks, I love this deck. It's super fun, it's super unique, it's very aggressive, it's super synergistic, and it's even pretty cheap in paper at $127. So anyway, that's Izzet Sharks. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.